So, everyone, welcome to our last stream before the holidays. It's very, very sad. We're going to be skipping quite a number of streams this week, so we are not going to have the 21st as a stream because that's Christmas Eve, which I want to capitalize on as much as possible in merrymaking and not specifically religious festivities of drink and laughter and Eve celebration. And then the 25th is Christmas, so everybody just doesn't do anything that day. And then the 26th is Boxing Day because I'm Canadian. Even though I live in the US, I don't. I practice Boxing Day still. I observe the practice of Boxing Day, which is stay at home or go to Sears. So this is all going to be Christmas holiday for me because I am doing something very exciting, which is completing my book. My book, however, is going to be very different this time. It's going to be an app that you can have hopefully on your PC as well as your phone. It's going to be a reader app, and it's going to be updated as I update the book. So it's never going to be one draft or editions or all that crap. I really loved being able to update Portrait Studio, and you guys have it, and there's no versions or editions or you have to pay extra for updates or something like that. I like that one-time payment updates for life thing. And this book, I'm pouring everything that I've learned in these past years of teaching and freelancing and just observing my own work, and I think I've gotten better. And I want to be able to make this my final thesis in the matter as a written form of everything you've ever seen in my classes. But I didn't want it to be a single PDF that I throw out there. I wanted it to be something I can update. So that's why we are working on currently just developing it from scratch, an app that you can have on your phone, either Android or Mac, Android or iOS, and have it on your computer. There is going to be the single edition version, which is going to be a little less, but the updatable version is something we're working on. If it's going to make the release of the book too late, I will most likely just ditch that project until another time. But the price hasn't been decided, but it's not going to be anything similar to or near Portrait Studio. Portrait Studio is a software, it's an engine, whereas this is a book. So the most expensive online books you can download, ebooks are probably $10, something similar to that, though. It'll be, it's the textbook. Usually textbooks are very different from novellas or short stories or narrative stuff. So textbooks are a little bit different, they're treated very differently. But it's definitely nowhere near. Very similar to, though, my books before, which were sold at 20 or 23. Just considering everything that I put into them. And it's going to have all the first two books in it as well, and each one was priced at that. So I'm going to try to find a very, very decent price for all of you guys. I'll probably run some polls. A poll will be very ridiculous because obviously everyone's going to choose the cheapest poll option, but it's going to be, the clause added is going to be that you think is fair for me and fair for you, and then the price that wins is probably the price I'm going to go for. I want to stay absolutely transparent with everyone, especially with my books, because I owe all my knowledge to the opportunity that you guys give me to teach you, and I feel like you guys should be a big part of this book, which is big. It's a big deal. It's a career changer to finish a book. The intro alone is 4,000 words, so you guys are in for it. Another update, which is a very big announcement, is my Patreon has been updated. It's completely been overhauled. So for those who are interested in private tutoring, who can't necessarily afford it, or who don't work in that price range for online, or they're not comfortable with the price, or they just can't book because of scheduling reasons, I now have this over here for you, and the final reward over here includes a Discord group, a private patron-only Discord group, wherein you get to enroll in challenges that I offer as rewards, and I critique in written form, or sometimes hangouts on the chat. I critique all the patron stuff, so if you guys like a really hands-on experience with me on Discord, to join the Patreon only challenges or to join community challenges, which we will have way more of in 2018, this final package, the apprentice package, is available for you now. A lot of people message me for portfolio reviews in written or spoken form, whichever I'm available for, but it's guaranteed once a month or as you need it if you are part of this final package. So that's an option. It's not necessary. But for anyone who's ever, felt like they wanted to give back or felt like they wanted to just join my Patreon or whatever, my watcher is only $1, and I know it's not a lot in rewards, but it's also just $1, and it's just a way to get in and show your support. My goal is 1,000 patrons, so 1,000 patrons, I'm sure $1 is very possible, and that's my goal for 2018. Like I said, I'm just putting myself out there, see what happens. And I think that, it's high time I kind of just focused on Patreon, and because I've had just such sparse classes this week because of everyone's off for the holidays, I thought I'd just crack down on this and get it done. A video tutorial for Portrait Studio is also coming up very soon. The bigger this channel gets, the more videos I have to make and announcements I have to make. But I teach. I'm a teacher by trade. I'm an artist. I draw. So I decided to just pour all my info, my backstory, everything in this little video that I worked on all day yesterday. I poured my soul into it, so please watch it, please. It's just for the watch, because I did really good, and I synced the music, and everything was cued really nicely, and I was so excited that this all worked out really, really well. So it's a nice little 5-minute video that I just have as much information in as possible. I made sure I drank tea. I made sure my voice was crisp and clear, and I did really good presentation. So please watch it, if just for the watch. So yeah, if you've ever gotten a critique from me, if I've ever critiqued you, and you're on Patreon or you're interested in Patreon, the $1 tier was just a quick little kind of like foot into the support, and a way to provide support, just an easy, no ties way. So I invite you to try that at least, but I promise you that the rewards for the higher tiers are very enriched, and I made sure that you guys get back as much as possible. But this is a pro bono community. It's a community just full of giving back and people giving each other, and I thought that, because I'm the host, maybe this could be a good opportunity for me to find some patrons who believe in my work, who believe in what I do on YouTube, and maybe we can just see this community get even bigger. The more of my time that is free, the more I'm available for challenges, for longer streams. Yeah, I hope my health keeps up for 2018. Some of my resolutions for 2018 would have to be more masterpieces, more studies, or just continue my study thing that I had as a resolution for 2017. Just more sketching, so using my sketching style some more, and finishing my book and publishing it. So I'm sure I'll be able to do all of that by 2018, I hope. But Patreon is a really massive goal of ours, but 1,000 patrons of $1 might be possible. I don't know. Whoever's out there, whoever is already a patron, you guys are the best. Thank you for believing in me for this whole year. I just wanted to thank you in a less formal way than this video. Thank you so much for believing in me, and thank you for being here this whole time, from the first stream of January 2017 to the last stream. There's some people have been here for nearly all of them. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being a part of my community and keeping this all going. Thank you so much for the for your donation. Thank you, H3. I just bought Portrait Studio yesterday, and I was wondering how I'd re-download it in the event I lose it or buy a new computer, because mine is a current potato. So you used $10 to ask me a question? You didn't have to pay to ask me a question. Oh my god, you can refund that, right? Go refund that. No ties? I thought you loved me. What? This video is really great. Oh, thank you so much. I worked really, really hard on it. Thank you, Annie. You're so sweet. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. Here's my Patreon link for those who are interested. Let me just sneak that in there. So this is our last stream. I'll be back January 5th. January 4th, Thursday, January 4th, I'll be back, or the 2nd. It just depends on how many classes I have when I get back. I'm just going to be painting over. I couldn't bring in a guest speaker. I'm so sorry. Everyone seems to be really busy with the holidays. But I'll try to make this class today 2 hours, minimum 1 hour. and just make sure everyone who had the courage and the balls to join this challenge, it's a challenge, you know, it's challenging. So you know, make sure everyone has their time on the stage, even if it's just honorable mentions, and I get to like at least 3 paintings to paint. The rest I will make sure we go through. So let's read the description for the challenge. So it was a holiday challenge. Where are you? Okay, so the task was to design a busy holiday landscape. The theme is a busy, cluttered fantasy town. Busy and cluttered, first sentence, during the holiday season. All the townspeople are walking around in their snowy little town, busy shopping for gifts or decorating their houses. The twist is that it's not a town of human people from our reality, but very, very similar to Dr. Seuss's Whoville. It's a town of small creature type beings. So they could be a town of animal people or gnome people. They could be a town of frogs and mushroom houses and firefly decorated trees, or a town of buttered birds fluttering around between the branches of a tree, from tree house to tree shop. It could be a town of grass houses, made of bottles and cans. It could be a mountain town, snow-capped houses. I couldn't wait to see one of those. I hope I see one of the mountain ranges. Stalagmites and stalactites and caves decorated as trees with their dwarf or troll population hustling about their daily holiday lives. The key is to make sure you have the unusual environment and habitat twist in your design. Think a busy hobbiton from The Hobbit, and cluttered houses from The Borrowers, made of tiny little people, knickknacks and lost things. Tree dwellers and creatures from Fern Gully, the movie, and inhabitants from The Grinch's Whoville. For the inhabitants, you can also borrow inspiration from creatures seen in Adventure Time or similar shows. Very wacky, nonsensical people. The traditional holiday symbols, no traditional holiday symbols can be used. So no Santa symbols, reindeer, Christian, or other religious artifacts. Keep the symbolism general, festive, and seasonal. Apart from other religious predilections for the holiday season, you may represent symbols, simple symbols such as lights and decorations on or with plants and trees such as candles, mistletoe, garlands, snowmen, and other symbols of the harvest season. Keep the visual description of the season leaning towards a pre-Christian, more pagan cultural celebration. The due date for the challenge will be Tuesday, the 19th of December, so that's today. And the reason why I did no religious stuff, it's not really an insult to any of the Christian viewers or any of the Christian community. I just don't want it to be only about one religion, so then it's going to have a less audience. I want it to be more of a general audience, like they do in you know, movies like Arthur Christmas or Whoville. It's about giving. It's about a time of giving rather than singing about the birth of Jesus or something like that, though not to take meaning away from it for those who do celebrate it for that reason. That's it. So let's see what everyone has made for us today. Let's start with just whoever was on the first. Okay. So, where is my Bane? Where is my apple? Oh no, oh, there's my pen. Okay. So, actually before this, I really wanted to look at this one right over here. Look at this. I love so many things about this. The reason, what do you feel when you look at this? You feel like it's very warm, right? There's one really good reason why it feels warm, because of the way the cool value, the cool wash, almost monochromatic wash of the surrounding environment. That's why it feels warm. This is the most successful piece. If this was in a contest for a children's animation based on unique design of the people, based on the childlike innocence of the way the houses are built, like little toy houses, based off the symbolism and staying away from religion, and based off the just execution of the light environment, this tops them all. And so to some people, this comes as a surprise because there's not any crazy detail on the shingles or woodwork of the houses. It's very basic houses. There's no perspective. All the houses seem wonky and wobbly. It seems like a very childlike, not meant for a larger audience. But in my opinion and from my experience as a teacher, as an illustrator, this is the most successful piece, because it has encapsulated exactly what I referred to, which is a warm, busy Christmas town. Not necessarily busy or cluttered, I understood for as soon as I assigned it that people were not going to want to paint 100 like 50 characters in a single scene. So I was prepared for some silhouettes or really roughly painted people. But those you did paint feel like they have a lot of character, which I like. The little footsteps. And it's all because of the simplicity and the minimalism of the wash of blue, like contrasted against that beautiful pinkish, almost orangey yellow of the lights and the windows. This piece feels the warmest, it feels the sweetest, and I congratulate you on doing an excellent job. Thank you so much for joining, because not a lot of people joined. A lot of people were scared by this, but you can put this behind you now, and you really have the experience to you have this step behind you. You tried a landscape, you tried a setting like this, and I'm very proud of this piece. So I'm going to compare them all to this. Some things I would change would just be the texture of the snow. For instance, this cast shadow over here, you went soft in every way. Let me grab my crazy smudge brush. Let me see, it's number 5. And what I'm doing right here with this brush, which only this brush can do compared to my other ones because it's so crazy, is just soften cast shadows like this. Okay, when you soften a cast shadow like this, you can still see it out here. Look at the navigator. Let me make sure you guys can see. You guys can still see the cast shadow, but it's not this unusual sharpness that came out of nowhere. There's nothing in there strong enough, in this environment, strong enough to cast this shadow. These lamps don't cast shadows anywhere. They do, but it's like the smallest little breath of shadow. It's not really there. Another thing would be kind of how dark you went out here, almost pitch black. You could have gotten away with like a blue from up here somewhere. That would have been dark enough for you. You really wouldn't need anything more. And it stays warm. As soon as you use black, now let's talk about that. In a children's illustration, stay away from black. Write that back to me. So when you're talking about an aesthetic, light environment that's supposed to be childlike or innocent, all of the aesthetics are innocent, baby, crib, baby room, nursery type of colors, you stay away from black. You just don't use black. Black is a dark color. Black is a more mature color to use in an illustration. We never use black, we use blue. Whenever there is like yellow and pink on cast shadows, so for instance, anything that is illuminated here could have some pink, so I'm going to get the soft brush. I'm going to go on soft light or color dodge, grab this pink, I don't know where I can grab it from, like right over here, and just run it on. I might get more, what's it called, than pink actually. So I'm going to get soft brush, soft light instead, and then saturate that pink. So whenever you get a chance to show off some values, and I'm going to put more pink on the cast shadow, exaggerate them in a children's story. You always exaggerate the colors, you always push them further. Then I'm going to get some of this yellow and just run it on the snow. So right here we've got a window. This whole window could be giving off a lot of its color. And again, just looking at the navigator, you can already see the reed. Another window giving off its navigator. So we have the space of the door and then the light shows up. Some more window. And this is just throwing off, making the light feel a little bit more realistic. So all the adjustments I've made right now are all light-based. They're all related to some sort of cast shadow or a light. You still did wonderful with the general feeling of the image. It still feels warm and cozy, which is exactly what I wanted to see. I really wanted to join this challenge and do my thumbnails, but every time it was time to stream, I had something else that was bothering me that I had to sketch before I forgot it, or I had a video to make, or I just didn't have energy to do it, which is really bad. But there's so much stuff. This month alone was so busy. So I'm just sharpening them now, and I'm going to just make sure that I'm not bleeding this light anywhere else. And this is really going to add to that expression of kind of like warmth and glow. And then I'm going to use my same brush that I smudged with, and I'm just going to use it on the edges over here just to soften those cast shadows. Nothing too intense. We still want some of those. And just take a look at that. Isn't that pretty? And what I would do after that is just decrease opacity so it doesn't read as water. But one thing I am going to do is just push up the saturation just a little bit. And what I want to do is anywhere where there is, so this is 0 saturation, this is how much I want to add. And what I want to do is basically desaturate anywhere where we really do have shadows. But you have light at the top of these buildings right here on the snow. And so I kind of want to exaggerate those to be perfectly, almost perfectly yellow, and the shadows to be perfectly blue. And that's really good for children's illustration, exaggerating the color theory. So that's another thing you can write back to me. And then I'm going to get my brush, and I'm going to try to get like a scattery mega brush over here. And the reason why I want to do that is because snow doesn't just, you know, rest on the edges like that. Snow is a little bit more unruly, so oh, I have the perfect brush for this. And I'm just going to let some of that snow just sit up there, just like that. Just giving it some texture. There was a recent storm or something like that, and they're all finally getting a chance to go outside. I love how you've drowned them in snow, but the texture itself feels more like a platform than snow. Snow is a texture, so give it more of that natural touch. And just take a look. Now they really feel like they're drowning. Kind of reminds me of the Christmas town from Kingdom Hearts. Okay, and I'm just using very, very soft, delicate strokes here, making sure I don't have too much of a tail texture. The soft brush is good, but it's a hairbrush. It's not really a hairbrush. It looks like a hairbrush by my standards, which is minimal texture and like stringy texture. But it does have enough softness that I continue using it. But make sure to take away most of that. It's not really, snow is more of a chunky, kind of slow melting texture. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And all of the snow over here piled can just feel a little bit more, a little bit more chunky. Over here kind of representing a thick layer of snow, but on the outline it just gets to be a little bit more thin, and then we're kind of losing that touch. So I'm trying to bring some of that back over here. And again, we're just softening the edges. Triangles are very dangerous looking objects, and we use those to create the sense of intimidation. So when you're designing the silhouette of a potential villain, then you use lots of triangles in their shape to make them feel intimidating and sharp like a knife and dangerous. So we're programmed by our symbols, and what you want to do if you have to use a triangle for children's illustration, you always round it off. Okay, so that's really what I would do. It's not a lot of changes, but it's just something to keep the environment running, to keep it going. I think these dudes are a little bit washed out. You might want to cast like multiple shadows. So there's a shadow coming off of this, very soft, out of this, very soft. These guys over here, very soft. But I love the perspective of this little kind of like decoration over here. This little light, I don't know what to call it. Those lights, just the string of lights. So just a bit more friendly. Do you see how here it looks so eerie? Like it's only safe in the town. If you go outside, you get eaten by wolves. But here it's a little bit more friendly. The town feels more packed with snow. The cast shadow continues that very kind feeling in the environment. Saturated just a little bit more, and I kind of soften this cast shadow so it doesn't behave like it's direct sunlight cast shadow. Beautiful job. I love it. All right, let's move on to something else. So this one, let me see. Let's talk about this one. So this one is beautiful. I think I forced you to choose. This one, because it just looks so wonderful. It looked like a book cover. Sorry, one sec. And what I don't like is how you put the moon there. You don't mess around with the moon. You don't just, F around with the moon. The moon is not just an accessory for your paintings, it's a light source. And you never put a light source directly in a illustration like this, especially if you have like all these focal points to manage. So you get rid of it. All right, if it's not playing the role of moon, which is super bright, creating large, really expanding silhouettes, if it's not doing that, you just don't add it in. You don't add it in because it's fun. You have a responsibility to your light environment. Write that back to me. That means that you have the responsibility of keeping the light environment intact. And if you're revealing this much of the character and it's not in a silhouette and the moon is right there like glaring at you, but you've dimmed it out on purpose, well, you noticed. You dimmed it out because you're a smart artist. You noticed. You said, okay, if I make this moon as bright as it needs to be, which I feel like it should be brighter, it kind of feels dim. Maybe you walked away from your painting, you came back, you noticed, hey, that moon looks like cheese. It's very dim. It's not glowing. Maybe I should just dim it out just a little bit and just, keep it so that way, so it's adding something to the background. But if it was that bright, it would take attention away from these dudes. Of course it would. It would turn them into all into silhouettes. And that's what we call kind of like an ominous scene. We use the moon as a silhouette to create shadow and to create illusion and mystery and foreboding. So you don't really do that with the moon, okay? Another thing is that your light environment is both purple, turquoisey blue, pure red, and then navy. This is all over the map. This is wrong. The reason why this one, the one that I just saw, had so much of a movement, brought movement out of me, not just because I teach this stuff where it's my style, this is everywhere. The more unified you are with your color wash, especially in scenes, winter scenes like this, which require a solid blue color wash. There's no shitting around or joking around with this. When you're drawing a winter scene, expect to use some blue, period. This should be just a standard fact. And we get these, detailed facts as we do the challenges. So if you're doing a forest scene and it's swampy, you use the swampy green. If you're doing, like eerie Scooby-Doo green, or if you're doing a sky scene, you make sure you use sky blue and pure whites. There's no black in a sky scene. That's just weird. If you're doing a nighttime scene in the forest, use a lot of deep blues and pale grays and the yellow light of the moon. There's a lot of rules you have to follow per scene. You don't get to mess around with them. So this is going to be a very common thread today. I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to put it on color mode or brush mode, a color layer or brush mode, and I'm just going to run this everywhere, and suddenly it really will feel nice. So it's not about me forcing you guys to have monochromatic only colors. You made these little cherries, or these little, I don't know what they're called, holly? I don't know what they're called. You decided that they were going to be blue, red. There is a red version that exists along with blue, and it's a very cool red. Red requires a lot of yellow to be visible as red. When it's nighttime, a red car doesn't look red. It looks a little bit more blue and purple because a lot of the sunlight that feeds that red is not there. And so this is what it turns into. And this is acceptable. Look at that. It fits right in. It's not heinously orange that makes absolutely no sense to the light environment. It's not insulting your light environment or the theme of your painting. Your theme was cool, Christmas town with warm Christmas lights. That was the theme. Cluttered and busy Christmas people. Now, the fact of the matter is this is not a town. So I did say tree houses, but it looks like a bunch of fairies kind of just collecting, like harvesting. I don't really see any houses nearby that show that maybe these guys need warmth, and so they need a house, and so the house has yellow light coming out of it. So you're kind of missing that massive bit, but it was a good opportunity for me to show you guys these rules are consistent. They are forever. Now what you did is because I dimmed everything, these guys are still glowing. You can let these guys glow still if you'd like. They're adding some intrigue, though I wouldn't understand why the glow would be so high up in the canvas. The glow should be around them. One of these should be here, one of these should be here. They should just be hanging around. The only way really to salvage this from where it is right now without having to overhaul the painting and completely change everything is to dim these guys out. And just like I did in my previous paint over from last week, we're going to make them glow. So we're going to like a soft light. So we can make them glowy creatures, and that would be one thing to make sure you do before you graduate this into your portfolio. So let's get soft light. Let's get a nice like glowy blue color. That's more cool. And I'm just going to use that around all the dudes. And what that's going to do is it's just going to reignite them as the focal points. Starting with this fella, who is the most detailed. Now for this to really work, I have to dim the background just a little bit. So darken. Desaturating just a touch, just so I can saturate later. I removed the moon out, so the moon is no longer the kind of the god of the painting anymore. Just take a look at what just happened. Look at this atmosphere. So one thing you could do is just do this. They can also be glowing in yellow. You can also just, if you had to work within the constraints of my challenge. But outside of my challenge, these were all meant to be used as pieces for your portfolio. So no one's going to actually go and find the challenge you originally worked for. So that's okay, but still your ability right now to work as a freelancer might be lacking if you have this much trouble giving the commissioner what they want. So keep that in mind as a diagnosis for where you are right now. So I'm just going backward to get some of those glowy lights back just a touch, just to see which of them I would allow in. And then I'm going to boost them into no man's land, which is the whites, the pure whites and all of that. So I'm just going to let this one in. Be sporadic, be random with lights. You don't want to have them all beside each other like in military formation. What that's going to do is it's going to just, again, throw off the focal point, which we don't want. I'm not erasing all of it out because they still have to be the most important. I really liked how the background was light against these flowers, but these flowers are not the focal point. The people you drew are. So remember that it all goes back to, just backward steps is what we're doing here in order to fix your painting. So a lot of the main stuff that you were supposed to remember, you kind of fell off on that focal point wash. I think you scattered these guys nicely. I don't think you could have scattered them any better. This guy being here, these two being here, and these dudes here. I don't think you could have done any better with this. Is just wonderful. There's no better way to scatter them. Maybe pushing this dude a little bit more, but even then, it was just the position of your light environment, the color wash you chose, and your focal point. All really, really big, heavy-duty fundamentals that you really need to start studying a little bit better. So I'm going to get my dodge tool. I'm not going to illuminate all of them. I'm going to illuminate only some of them, starting with the more important features. So the face is an important feature of this character. His hands are also doing some important stuff. Maybe their little chests are glowing with their little icy hearts. And just a little bit more, maybe around the joints for this dude. Maybe the wings could be just a little bit more adjusted. I'm going to add some color to the wings. Just random anatomical kind of like landmarks are what I'm illuminating. Okay, and then I'm just gonna get my smudge tool. If they're flying around, if they're doing their crazy stuff, they really wouldn't have these stringy looking wings. They would have a lot more of a kind of like, give me a second, why isn't this working? Oh, Jeebus. Alright, used the wrong thing. So I'm just going to thin these out. And it's okay because wherever the wings layer, that's where I'm going to make them look like wings. What happens when the When the wings layer, what happens when two sheets that are translucent overlap each other? Does anyone have an answer? So you don't need an outline. You're thinking in symbols, and this is really bad. Another fundamental that we've discovered in your work. No, there isn't that much texture on a wing, especially if it's moving around. If it's storybook, you don't have to worry about those kinds of physics, but you painted these guys pretty realistically. So I'm going to get my color, and then I'm going to extend some of this color into the wings. I don't want the wings to take over their silhouettes. So what happens when two wings that are glowing overlap each other? Okay, then I'm just in a new layer while I'm getting the answer. I'm just going to grab that exact color and just throw some of the blue coming off of these dudes on the nearby branches. Always going back and double checking with my navigator to see if I did well. Okay, anywhere where they're just really close to. So this branch over here, this branch is getting eclipsed, and so we can darken that just fine. Be careful with that black. Remember, there's a lot of black in here too, which I would totally adjust. So I'll adjust it into like a light blue. Be very, very careful with black. You make it look like an ominous Disney princess running through a dark forest. There's really no role for black in children's. Anything can be children. I mean, I watch Kung Fu Panda, and it's meant for children, but you know, black used in those scenes has an emotive response with me as well. So it's not just for children. It's a general storytelling attitude. If you're going for the feel-good kind of Disney thing, you want to stay away from those mean old colors and values. It's mostly a value. It's not a color specifically. You can use all kinds of colors. These are the colors of the rainbow in children's books, but just don't use them in their muted, black, dark, murky, pollution version. All right, so doing that, I kind of lost some of the glow, so I'm just going to get some of that back with soft light. Beautiful colors. The guy in the front should be the brightest. The guy in the back should be dimmest. So he gets one brush stroke. This guy gets almost a brush stroke. This guy gets only some on his head. And this guy just gets some on his wing. So when they layer, they get more opaque. Excellent. So I'm just going to select wherever the wings are layering. So this wing is over here. And that's all I'm going to do. This wing is over here with this wing. This one is over here. This is over here. Okay. This is over here. This is over here. This one is over on top of this one. And then what I do is I just grab the nearest bright value. Start with the color. And then the value. And I'll blur all of that away. And that's really all we need for the wings. We don't need much more. They do need to go way more translucent. They need to go way more in color. I need to completely smudge away what you did with the wings, because they need to be see-through. Right now they're feeling like they're not. They just have this like big darkness about them, kind of thickness, sorry. That just makes no sense. So I'm going to grab that background color and let it just sit in front of the wing, just like that. See that? It feels a lot more gentle, a lot more normal. And I'm just going to get my dodge tool. I'm going to give these wings some like a little bit of magic. Okay, doing the same thing over here, grabbing the background colors. I'm not looking at the chat just yet, so if you have a question, please delay it till I say it's time for questions. nose seems a little big and cute. I don't know if that's how his nose was since the start. Yeah, his nose is pretty big. It's cute. So before, see all those colors? And then after. We have a lot of them in there. One thing you can do is show the town from behind, which is, I just got that idea. So 10. You can just show off the town from behind, just like that. Lasso of truth compels you. The lasso of truth. Okay, and then I'm going to just grab like a glowy color, something. Just, again, I need to disrupt all of this excessive blackness just coming from the deep. Just like that. So the trees can get shown off just a little bit. And then some pure color. And then I'm just going to get my eraser, my blocking brush, and erase away wherever we have actual tree anatomy. So I'm not going to want this to be everywhere, just small little breathing room here and there. But I'm going to try my hardest to make sure everyone gets a paint over today, because I really appreciate you guys taking on this challenge. It was very difficult, and just take a look. All of you who didn't join, are you jealous? Because just take a look at what this person just drew. They got a correction for it, they got a paint over for it, and they can just throw this into their portfolio and they have a successful piece in their portfolio. So before, after, beautiful atmosphere we just added with that color and those silhouettes of the trees. You can add some more if you have time. So that never hurts to try. It never hurts to just push yourself just a little bit and just try it just as a silhouette. It never hurts. So I'm going to get color and just take care of the background a little bit. Just like so. Maybe you can have a little bit more trees. But this is a beautiful piece now. I think it's adorable. Just looking at the navigator, it just looks so magical. So, do you guys have any questions for the last two paint overs I did? Please explain why you use the blending modes. The brush modes? Or my smudging brush? What do you mean, blending modes? Why I use them? They have different effects and they bring out the best in each value or color, and I've explored them enough that I can use them. As for blending, it's a great option. Instead of using your brush to blend in softness, you can use a smudge brush on scatter. My Wacom just died 4 years after 4 years. Do I repair it for 190 or get a comparable new Huion? You get the Huion, okay? Even the newer ones are having trouble right now. Huion is a lot better. I use Huion. Just get a new one. Just completely boycott Wacom. Just enough Wacom. I answered that question even though it's unrelated because any opportunity I have. Yes, never put a light source directly in an illustration. You have a responsibility to your light environment. Only exception with that would be best for that would be, I don't know what I'm saying. The only exception to that would be to have a small light source, a secondary baby. But as for putting in your primary in an illustration, you're throwing everything off. Istebrak, I'm really sad right now as I didn't get to finish my submission, but can I still post it once it's done and get the community's critique? How many of you still have something to submit? If enough of you submit between now and Thursday, I will host another critique hour on Thursday. It'll be the only class I do that day, and that'll be more manageable for me. But again, this was the deadline, and if not enough of you post up, I can't really host another one, especially because I did all my goodbyes today. It's going to be really awkward to come back on the 21st. But if enough of you post, I might see them. If anything, if I come back on the 2nd, I'll just take a look at them on the 2nd, okay? It just depends how busy I get on the 21st. Because we know you destroy Wacoms. Any more questions? No questions? Okay, no questions. So let's move on. I'm going to take a look at one of my students' pieces from private tutoring, and she did an amazing job. I'll take a look at everyone's, don't worry. But this is more unique because it's underwater, so she actually took it on in a whole new creative kind of like perspective with how this town might happen. The problem is, which I told you already, is in your thumbnail you had too much white in the background. Or did I say too much black? Which one was it? The background was a little bit off. It felt too light. Yeah, it was too light. Because these, just take a look. Let's take a look. So correct these, okay? And then post them again on you know, when we meet again. So make sure you're applying all of these. And I was cooking something. So we have a light background value and light colors. You choose one or the other. Either it's daytime or it's nighttime. When you're trying to get the best of a band playing Christmassy songs in a park, do you take the pictures when the sun is out or it's almost sunset, or at sunset, or when it's nighttime? The nighttime allows these secondary little light sources to come through. You have a chance to bring in colors in all of these as well. So for your assessment as a checkpoint between now and when we meet again, I want you to dim the background completely, okay? So dim the background. I want to see colors, multiple colors for these. I don't want to just see a plain white color, because it kind of looks like a Harry Potter flashback into the what are they called? The Deathly Hallows? It looks like one of those, doesn't it? It just looks so eerie and scary. And just take a look at all the black. Black, 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 evil, evil. They look like these guys. What are they called? Heartless. They look like Heartless, you guys. Oh, never mind. That's not what I mean. They look like these guys. And these guys are pure black, and they have that yellow. Nothing about them is really promising good. They're just very, of course, it's large heads and cute bodies. They are cute because it's a children's game, but still, the black has a very specific role. And it looks eerie. It looks creepy. It looks like a little minion. So all of these guys look a little bit evil, especially because their eyes were very, very hollow-like. Even if this is the type of people they are, you still have to humanize them. So maybe there are people that look like this, and they've got their little eyes. You can still give them pupils, and they'll look suddenly more interesting. You can give them kind of like a Jake the dog eye, and they'll still look interesting. But you got to give them something. It can't be just two flashlights or, you know, lights just coming out of nothing. So the spotlight that you have is not working because the background's too light. These guys are not working because the background's too light. Hey, look, everything goes back to the light environment. You can still darken these trees and have them visible. I love the tree patterns you used. This is probably my favorite thing out of all of this. The tree shapes that you used and the tree texture. It's so beautiful. You really have an eye for tree texture. These are beautifully pink, which is good. I love the extra color, but I do not like how light they are. They also need to be darkened down to a deeper pink, something that is a little bit more from here, that will kind of respect the light environment a little bit. This is a great value against the light environment. It can still be a light background color. It doesn't have to be black, but it just can't be this value, because just take a look at how high it is. This is ridiculous. And once you have these guys have some color, you can reflect some of that color as it ranges. So blue to blue and pink to pink and yellow to yellow along the sides of the fish that you know, come along to enjoy some of the music and the singing. So give the characters more spirit, darken the background, reflect some extra colors, add some extra colors on the light, on these little lights. And keep your layers intact and send me your layers, or else I'm going to have a hell of a time lassoing around this, okay? So it looks too clip art-y. It looks too silhouetted. Eerie blacks are not good. I love what you did here. I love this dude with his hat. Make it feel like a little bit more like they're fish. So fish people means that they could just have some gills or something like that, just to make them look a little bit more like fish people. Keep working off of that. I love it. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at this piece. This piece is really nicely cluttered. I like the lights. Everything has crispy edges, very, very clean. It's hard to tell those are mice in the foreground. But let's do something over here. So 0. Okay. I'm gonna grab this color. And just get my color mode. Grab that background color. Actually, the snow color. Snow reveals the color environment. So remember that. White reveals the color environment. White is a great color to show off exactly how much exposure we have, how much blue we have, all of that. So I'm just adding that blue to everything. These mice here are really impossible to see. If they're like sneaking over a rooftop to take a look at the Christmas tree get lit up, why are they sneaking, first of all? And it shouldn't be this dark. It should be something a little bit more, you know, light so they can actually be visible. But once we get all of that, I'm going to go backward and erase away at the warm lights you had. So first of all, it was desaturated. It was extremely desaturated. For a children's story, you need just like maximum final form saturation. And then I'm going to erase away and bring back some of that color, whatever color you did have on the lower layer. But that's why you didn't really have that spirit going on, that kind of like childlike spirit. Everything is oversaturated for children. It's not hard to learn, you know, that kind of niche and have that be your job. Children's illustration is just a massive business. It's like a massive industry. So it's a great way to capitalize on your skills and get an audience, but you got to make sure there are rules and you just don't break them. So there's this game called Freaky Little Liars, or Freaky Little, I don't know, that's not what it's called. Creepy Little Things, Freaky Little Boys. What's it called, Evu? Freaky Little People? Pretty Little Liars? I don't know what it's called. But it's the creepiest friggin' side scroller I have ever seen in my entire life. And it's creepy because of all the desaturation. Mostly because there's a guy who's all stitched up who looks for the kids. But that aside, this is the creepiest game you're ever gonna play. It freaks me the hell out when he's about to catch you. It's a very freaky game. But there we go. I'll just put it on. I'm not on Skype. What is it called? Little Nightmares. Yeah, there we go. So that game is, again, kind of not really geared for children, but it has children in it. But it's creepy because even though everyone has those adorable large head, small body proportions, it's still desaturated colors, lots and lots of black. So just want to stay away from that, okay? So I'm just bringing in that yellow now to bring in some of that spirit. You can have some bounce light. You can have some yellow on the snow beneath, just warming it up a bit. All the cast shadows need to be some yellow on these fellas. Just like that, I think. Yeah, that's fine. Cast shadows can be completely blue. Characters can be completely warm. You can, you know, sneak in some subsurface scattering on these ears. On these ears as well, just like that. Cute little additions and changes here that kind of help out the story, in the sense that it's just a cute, quaint little town. As for these, you could have made these thimbles. You could have made these as boxes, you know, like cereal boxes. This is their own little town that they borrowed small knickknacks and human, like, you know, garbage, and they used it to build their world. You know how they're using the book here? I'm not sure what all this is, but it's taking up a lot of space. So You either get rid of it or you add to it, but just the spirit alone of the painting has changed a great deal. Let's take a look at a full before and after. Saturate, saturate, saturate. Don't oversaturate. I'm sure you know what oversaturation means, but this is a lot. This is a big change, and they looked very muddy. For us to really fix this image, it would be to kind of like, is this really the saturation we started off? This isn't me adjusting it. This is very desaturated. So I hope you kind of adjust it there. You can do all kinds of stuff, really. You can mess around with with what kind of temperature you're going for. I'm just going to leave it in a very general state, but I hope this helps you. I thought that might be the game. Yeah. So any questions for this piece? Let's go on to something else. So just, guess what? I'm going to change. Lots of blacks. Lots and lots of, so let's just do the exact same thing. Saturate and shift. I'm looking only at the background value. I'm looking for that beautiful blue. And then I'm just going to select, go to before I did this, and then erase away at what I did so we can get that saturation in the background. And then just soften things up a little bit. You don't need much. Oh, these are really super, what's it called? Desaturated. The yellow was just fine. I mean, the yellow was good. It's just too much of a green yellow. You know what I can do? I can just select this, and this, and this, and this, all this, all of this, oh my lord, this, and this, and this. And then just shift it over into the oranges to be a little bit more soft. Oh my gosh, it looks like a Christmas card. And you still have another level of illumination to bring in. All these little guys here. So this is a busy Christmas town. This looks like what I envisioned originally with my writing. And I really think this is a great sketch. But as for the environment values that you used, really lacking. But that's why we do challenges like this, to come face to face with color once and for all, and really just explore what we can do with color. So with my soft brush, with my soft brush on color mode, I'm just going to make sure everything is blue that is not a light. So everything is blue. What's happening here? Oh yeah, it is working. So what's up? So these trees get to be a little bit more blue. There's a lot of black that we also have to pick up. So a lot of facts here today about children's illustration, how to keep things looking innocent and beautiful and delicate and friendly. See, anything that is not illuminated gets a hint of blue on it, even if it's wood, even if it's a purple, even if it's a yellow dress and it's in a blue room with blue light and blue reflective light environment color, that color is not going to be possible. And just like I did, I'm selecting the background, 30. And what we're going to do to the background is very similar to what we did earlier, which is just throw in a big bright color to just kind of create some relief. So we're going to grab one of these dudes and just post it there. I'm going to green it up just a little bit. Saturate, and then all these areas here I'm just going to have to erase, and we'll do a before and after. So for all of you who have ever looked at children's books and you were so mesmerized by how magical and adorable it looks, this is the secret. Stay away from black, saturate the crap out of it, and exaggerate all the color theory. Alright, so this here, this little window is bothering me. It needs to be illuminated like that. Before, after. Okay, so saturation, value relief in the background. Did I delete that value color that I did? Oh, geez, no, I lost it. Crap! I lost that layer. My bad, guys. But yeah, remember that you need that relief, saturation, and just simple washes. The point is you can have all the color you want, but it's nice to have minimalism as well. Do we have time to format and post this class notes before you look through them? Oh yeah, you do. I'm not looking through them right away. I'm going to be releasing all of the Patreon videos from this year around December 24th or maybe this Thursday, and that's when I'm going to be just sending out messages to note takers to message me on Facebook, and I'll be giving you a Dropbox link for the brushes, and then you can keep them. Please make sure, though, that you don't share brushes with people who haven't won them or earned them or bought them. I work really, really hard on them, and if they want them, you can just direct them to my store. And if they are at a loss for any, financial resources, you can just let them know if you watch the classes and take notes. Istebrak rewards with brushes. So one person is going to get all the brush set, all the brush pack, which is like a $50 value. And then some people are going to get just the new sketch brushes that I have. But one really good note taker is going to get all of them. So just, that's another way to get some really good brushes I poured my career into. And yeah, just take advantage of that. So this piece right here is a little bit of everything that we talked about. You got pink and yellow sunset values on the snow, but you've got all of this, so it's hard to tell if this is all in a cast shadow or not. It seems like night already fell. So why would we have sunset values over here? Besides, all of these sunset values are not really helping the light from the... So I'm just going to throw a bunch... Yeah, I'm going to throw a bunch of blue. Okay, I'm also going to throw a bunch of darkened layer with the same blue. Alright, already it looks so cozy. But then I'm going to go to the before. Don't worry. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to erase. I'm going to erase away at whatever was illuminated. So that pink was still terrible. It's just terrible value. But this is a great way of, a great method of showing off the lamps. I love this fox village. It's so cute. This is exactly what I wanted to see. So this guy is silhouetted. He's not really that visible. And then we have these lights over here. This light should be dimmed. This light should be dimmed. All these lights should be dimmed. And then I'm going to get just a very white, cool value for the, see, it's just too yellow, it's too, what's it called? It needs to be a bit more cool. Cool meaning closer to yellow, less close to red in the sense of cool. Obviously red is cool, warmer, hotter than yellow. And then I'm just going to correct these values here. There's too much pink. It's not sunset, it's nighttime, and there's a yellow light. Yellow is very cool compared to the pinks of sunset and the reds and the oranges. Okay, so that alone has helped out a great deal. And then we've got some of those lights that I'm going to selectively illuminate. I'm not just going to make them all glow with the fire of 1,000 suns. I'm just going to make some of them really strong. So this one is like the street light, and this one has like a nice little ambience here right in the middle. And then I'm just going to adjust that. Actually, it needs to be more of a flattened out circle. Just like that. Just a straight flat line. Just like so. And then this one, I'm just going to slightly reveal it. Slightly reveal this one. And this has helped out a lot. I would still like stay away from pink altogether. I would still keep it all on. The pink just feels like such a forced color, like to just force in something against the monochromatic. Monochromatic is not bad. Write that back to me. Can anyone think of one really good reason why monochromatic isn't that bad? Right, apart from all the hundreds of reasons I've given you guys, one good reason why monochromatic is actually a great way of balancing your light environment. What does it do? One really good reason. There's no one right answer that I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a reason. I'm looking for you guys thinking about this. I'm just going to grab that same blue. I'm going to darken it. I'm going to keep it saturated actually. And I'm going to get into darken layer. And I'm just going to give this little house a shadow. This little house a shadow. You see how blue is all you need. That's one really big benefit of monochromatic. This was all we needed. We didn't need to find a cooler version of the house color. We just had that blue, the environment blue, the monochromatic value on darken layer, and we applied it and we got all we needed out of it. Now we have an actual shape to the house. We didn't have to go crazy in a lab mixing colors in order to get, you know, that this feeling that all the colors are harmonious and finding the color, the proper shade colors for every color used in the image. A lot of you avoid illustration because you're like, oh crap, I have to, you know, find the exact formula of value and saturation balance for every one of these objects, for every one of these people. It's not. It is the most universal value you're looking for. It all goes back to the color wash. And I'm just giving this snow a little bit less of a cloud structure. I'm going to use dodge tool and create like these little kind of like explosions of value. Maybe I'll use midtones instead. It's not daytime colors, but just enough. Just around this dude. And this little guy here, he has a shadow. And I'm just going to use that. I don't know why I got a hard round brush. That was weird. Okay, I'm just showing how this little basket is under here. Consistency, is it like grayscale? It forces you to consider value accuracy. Good idea. But what do you mean? I need a specific word. What does it mean when you're in grayscale and you choose one value that is the universal? What does it have to do with the light environment? What does the color do to the light environment? Consistency is related to that. Beautiful answer, Hamish. Hamish is just, you know, on a roll. It diffuses the visual noise of color. Excellent. Though children's books are really great for that, you do end up kind of sacrificing a great amount of sciences when you're forced, I guess, or you just feel like using this much color in your illustration. So over here, lots and lots of color noise, as you put it. So I'm just dimming all of this out. Wherever there is no yellow light, there is some blue, there is darkness. And this is especially important to remember at night. And that was kind of the answer I was looking for. It's a nighttime scene. There is zero color. So there's zero domination in the image. There's zero color. If not for these little strong lights, you know, just piercing through the shadow, we'd have blackness or blueness. The moon sometimes pops in, so you don't get to decide that oh, I feel like using green for a nighttime color. No, you don't. We're referencing it off a real world. Monochromatic means you're on the dark part of the earth. It's a rule of physics. Monochromatic is the nighttime. It's a rule of physics. You don't mess around with that. You can have man-made little explosions of warmth through all that blue, but it's not a stylization. It's not a stylistic choice. It is science. So make sure you have that in your notes. Alright, so just a little bit more. So before, it just looked like daytime sunset colors, like the remember that pathway in Coco, that bridge that glowed? It just looked like it had its own light source. And just look at how cozy this is, because this is stuff we're pulling out of our you know, our visual library, what we're used to seeing. I really want to make sure I can critique everyone's work here today. Beautiful answers, Hamish. Would snow not glow slightly when the light hits it because of the air in it? No, Jaffa. Snow is transparent, translucent, right? That's what you think. It's a little bit air in it, meaning that it's transparent, like silk or see-through fabric. That's what you mean, air in it. But that's not how it works. Air the snow. Let me show you. Let me just look it up. Snow sunset. Let me see if I can find it. The only time snow becomes a glowing inside out is subsurface scattering, and if the snow is glowy enough. This is not a good example. This right here, see all this? This is a beautiful example, actually. See this glow? See how we have, this is a shadowed area, but it's got the warmth of the sunlight in it. What does that mean? That means see-through. So it has to be in an eclipsed area. It has to eclipse in order for subsurface scattering to happen. It doesn't matter. Snow is on the ground. It's not in front of the sun. Only when it's in front of the sun and the sunset and the camera's in the right angle do you see it glow inside out with that pink. But this is not what was happening in the previous image. Okay. This here is, it requires some dimming and some color choices to be changed. So listen, it's very easy. It's just this. It's just this, you guys. It's really, really simple. Okay, maybe I should have just been a normal person and used normal freehand lasso. It's still red. Don't worry, it's still red. But it's a purple red. It's no longer this unusual, freakish cherry red that should only exist in daytime. It's still red. If it doesn't look red enough for you, then you chose the wrong time of day. There are rules. Okay. So, God help me, don't lose the lasso. Okay. So, when I did that color test a long time ago, that class where I was testing everyone's colors, this is an excellent exercise for you to try, because I was a younger teacher, I was a little bit more of a spaz, but it's still a great exercise in the sense that it tests whether or not you have the right color in your brain. When we say red, do you only see one kind of red? If that's the case, you have a responsibility to yourself as an artist. So just changing this, just this alone was helping a lot. Okay, it looks like poop. Compared to all those cool valleys, it just looked like little balls of poop. Little dung beetle. Poor dung beetle got his poop stolen away from him, and his house was used as decoration for these evil creatures. That's all I'm getting out of this. It could be bounce light, but that was value. It was bounce light subsurface, but it looked like subsurface. It definitely was subsurface. The snow was see-through enough. It's like waves of the water. So let's waves sunset images. This isn't bounce light. Where are you? It's usually the same one that comes up. Maybe because I spelled it wrong. No. They usually get the first result, but it's okay. I guess they change it up. Right here. Waves popping through the sunset. Sunset popping through the waves. That's not bounce light. Same exact thing, but on a denser level. It's still water. It's just frozen water, so it's a little bit more dense and solid, let's just say. But it's the exact same phenomenon. Sunset piercing through a little hill where there should be shadow, there is light because of subsurface light scattering around. Okay, another thing I need to fix here is just how bright everything is. Everything is bright. Everything is glowing. And you have to... I'm not really sure which is the best mode. I guess we have to experiment. So I want the brightness to stay where it is hottest in the way you colored it, but I don't want all of it to come through. So we're just looking for the glow. So I guess this is good. I guess this is good. I will settle for this. This is good. So what the problem would be with this is that, you know, it's very strong color burn. And I just need to saturate. I guess the saturation doesn't matter. And then just dim it. Okay, so this is a better nighttime scene. Now you have the opportunity to bring in all kinds of bounce light on these little dudes. Bring in some colors over here, maybe a blue over here. And then at the end of the day, this is a very busy scene. You've got some intense cluster here. So you don't need, you were told busy, right? But you know what you did, you sneaky little student? You put only 2 characters. So you're tricking me into thinking this is busy, but I wasn't born yesterday. 1, 2, and that's it. That's all we have. And he still made it look busy. Very smart student. But it's the lights that you clustered everywhere. These stars that you showed up. This is a lot of light pollution. These stars would not be visible. And if you did, if it was storybook, why didn't you just put a couple of stars? Why did you have to put like a whole Milky Way? So I'm not tricked by this. Alright? We got a little lizard and Yoda, and that's it. Alright, so and the reason why I gotta be like this is because one day you're gonna get hired and your employer is gonna be like this, and your employer is gonna say, are you kidding me? I see only 2 characters. I asked for a busy town. Where is the muffin man? I don't know what's in a town. Where's the chef? Where is the carpenter dude? Where's the house guy? Where's the electrician that walks around the town? Where are all the townspeople? Why didn't you put any little, like, extra little Yoda dudes here just walking through? Kind of like in the foreground. I guess you can use black in this case because of contrast you've used everywhere else. Just people walking around having fun. Where are all the people? So this doesn't trick me. Good job, though, in completing it from corner to corner, but I think you had way too much exposure. It looked like daytime. It looked like you were right under like a spaceship light about to beam everybody up. It's a very strong laser white, and we just darkened it a little bit, a lot of it, to kind of like a more balanced value. I used color burn and I used the black, or like a dark blue, and that kind of helped, but still very, very busy. So one thing you could do is just start getting rid of some of them. So let me see if I can smudge them away. I might not be able to do all of this, but just making it look less busy. So every other light I find, I'm just smudging it out. Okay. And if this little like string of lights is most important, why'd you make all of the ones in the background as bright? Make the lights in the background. Okay, I have a question to ask you. Let's say there was a decorated house covered in lights, and all you had was a candle, but the decorated house was 100 feet away. Which would be brighter? The like amazingly colored lit house, or the candle in your hand? I have a question for you guys. Answer it, okay? Hamish. So, what's the answer? Hi, Lenny. Happy holidays. So I'm just gonna wait for the peeps. There's one on the ornament. There he is, little duck boy. See how difficult it was to find him? I swear I really did look. There's all these little townspeople here. They're hardly visible. Oh my god, you made all the lights over here have so much detail. The further the object, the... Exactly, Andre. The candle would be much lighter. But I have a question, though. Isn't the house completely covered in lights, though? From corner to corner? Waits for Hamish. Oh, Titan, you're so adorable. A candle, because it's closer to you. So what you want to do is dim everything in the distance. Dim it all. Dim the crap out of it. If light was strong enough to be visible, we would have our eyeballs burned out, because the distance from the sun never did jack shit to stop the immenseness of its magnitude. Okay? So I hope that helps you. Way too busy, lights bright on all depth levels, further the light, the dimmer the light. The cluster of light was bad. You put light and decoration and accessory ahead of character, which is bad in an illustration. The light environment was wrong. It was the wrong environment to use, especially because you used so many lights. Saturation was okay. I'm not really going to touch that. And you can salvage this painting and throw it into your portfolio if you work on that a little bit more. Prioritize making these balls look better. Make these characters come out. Bring in more characters in the foreground. Dim all of this. Dim this. I don't know why I'm using my mouse. Dim this. Dim this Milky Way. Dim this, and then you can just leave this little lamp here illuminated. Dim, not erase, okay? I don't mean to destroy your painting. Make it look like nighttime with a color burn, layer mode, and bring in some more little dudes over here, just hanging around buying stuff. Maybe this guy is selling something, and he's like, hey, yo, come buy my stuff. Hey, guys. And that's it. Okay. So, let's get some honorable mentions. So a lot of these I've already covered. Saturation. This one here, the problem with, I think this is Izam's. Yeah, it is. Good job, Izam. I think it's because you kind of showed every string of the cobweb. So let's look up a good reference. Okay, so images. Okay, so this is a good example. So this is some light shining through some gossamer, some spider webs, and then spider web forest. Oh geez, oh God in heaven. Oh God! What the? This is terrifying. What did I stumble into? Do these things actually happen? Oh God. Oh God. Okay, I just needed this one. Okay. So over here we have every string visible. But we have to, oh my God, I'm so freaked out right now. We have to, I hate spiders. I hate killing them, but I hate seeing them. So a camera sees everything. But take a look at some of the gossamer here in the distance. This spider web in the distance. And take a look at some over here. All right, so some of these are blurred because of the lens blur. Some are blurred because of distance blur, or depth of, or field of view blur, or depth of field. Yeah. So what you want to do is exactly something like this. Also, a camera sees way more than we see. So we have to think that we're drawing with our naked eyes. We're not drawing like a camera. A camera sees every pixel. It's exposed to every piece. Sees with every pixel. So what you did here is you gave us the exposure of a photo that is focused on all sides on the spider web. It's a very adorable scene. It's very cute. Of course, dim it, brighten, as I said, but this spider web over here is really throwing everything off. I would rather see it as an abstract texture, so something with only slight little moments of web-like pattern, but is generally painted with more of that creepy stuff we just saw. So something more like this, dimmed out, with some slight webbing, so we get only some areas get webbing, just like that. And that would do so much more for the painting, because this is a whole other level of detailing, and these little trees are very Samurai Jack type minimalism. and kind of like symbolic trees. So this would do more for you to work like this, to actually create the texture, the illusion of the texture, not the texture itself. Okay? But beautiful job. Please dim and darken. This blue over here, this red is very, very blue. Good job. But it's still too bright. It's still a bright value. It needs to be darker and cooler. And all this path could have been yellow, and the cast shadow of the spider could have really stretched across. You could have tried dressing them up in some, you know, like adorable little like winter gear, instead of it feeling like a dark scene of villains and stuff. Because very soon, just not just because I have a bias against spiders, but spiders are very scary to look at. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of creepy. The ladybugs are ornaments. These spiders have taken over this dimension. Oh god, don't remind me of those spiders. Oh jeez. Shelob from Lord of the Rings is calling. Really? Oh, this was a PNG. Okay. So this scene is the exact opposite of the one we saw before. It needs to go lighter. So what I'm going to do is find very, very basic. I'm still using the wash of the blue, but I'm going to see what my layer modes can do for me in brightening. So I use lots of layer modes because I am a teacher and I have to run through the corrections very quickly. Now this is washing out. Doesn't really work. But you guys can avoid all this if you just plan a little bit more. Alright, so here's a good way to fix it, to get it started. So dim, so dark, so scary. And then I have to correct now, because I used dodge mode, I have to correct the brightness and the contrast. So I'm bringing the contrast way down, and I'm just adjusting the brightness. So we see here the spotlight you had, Elgin. This is one of my private students as well, and I could barely see it, but now we can. So if you want to, just the top hat could be a little bit more bright. It could be a little bit more, you know, just white. But buddy, way too dark. It was just too dark. And then I'm going to get color modes and just apply some minimal color correction. This is a good way to start. I told you your foreground should be darker. These adorable friggin' frogs in the foreground. But down here, this is all a stream, so ask yourself, what time of day is it? Is it almost sunset? Is it pitch black night? How lit up is this entire town? This whole town should be aglow with the warmth against the piercing through the blue, as we've been covering. So color dodge. So we have color burn. No, I said color dodge. Okay. You know, so all these little pieces are glowing. Oh, that's too much for corners. You know, these little guys, this little dude. The water might be aglow. And just some little sections. But I think what you had before was way too dark. It looked like a convenience store when it was closed. You know? It looked like a closed shop. Alright. Beautiful submissions. I'm proud of every single person who applied all this. So now that you went through all of those critiques that I just did, you can probably see. Okay, here. The background you chose was too dark. You can probably see what the problem is for this piece over here. So select inverse. I'm going to go into adjustments, brightness, contrast. Let the brightness go up so we can see the objects, and then the contrast as well. Alright, so you had some wonderful sketches of the type of people. Good job. They look a little bit scary to me, which is why it might be okay for you to use these values, like a twisted Tim Burton town. You know how Halloween Town tried Christmas and it was like the most gruesome thing they ever did? Well, that's kind of similar to what I'm seeing here, which is okay. I never said that it has to be jolly and innocent, but look at the references you use. Okay, so you had some references, though they are a little bit more adjusted. They are still great references, and we didn't see any of that. Look at those yellows piercing through the blues. Here, look at how like daytime it looks because there's just light everywhere. So just down here, all of these lights reflecting, but there is still a lot of that blue coming through. Look at how cool this one is. All the light sources are cool. This one, lots of blues around, but lots and lots of yellow lights. Remember that house analogy as well. It works as one big candle if a lot of it is decorated. It's not necessarily the best illustration. This is a terrible illustration lighting setup. This is a terrible illustration lighting setup. This and this because it's all silhouette. This one might be okay because it looks so much like daytime because those fluorescent lights are really piercing through and not letting some of that blue come through. But you could have used some of these in your image, both in illustration, both in color wash and light environment. And you could have still borrowed from that Tim Burton creepy little nightmares kind of theme. And then the final piece, and then we'll be done for today. Oh, it is done. Okay, so we already talked about this. So thank you to everyone who joined today. I hope you guys had fun. Some final little announcements. I will be back after the holiday on the 2nd or the 4th. And New Year's resolutions. So what are yours? Again, mine are to do some more studies, try some masterpieces, just see what I can do. More sketches. I want to animate more. I want to sketch more. So a lot of the stuff I've been doing. And I want to, just get better at critique hour, but teach better. Be a bit more cohesive. My health, I want to keep it at top notch. I've been enjoying this high that I've been getting out of my vitamin D3 supplements. They've just been changing my life. So I'm just riding this high before something goes wrong, which most likely will. Some of my goals this year is to actually buy a house. I really want to buy a house. It's very impossible. It's not a seller's market, and it's not a buyer's market either, because everybody wants, someone to get the house and choose their house, and then they'll just never let go of them, and making sure they won't budge just so they can sell their house and get rid of it. So it's not anyone's market right now. It's terror. It's terrorism what's happening in West New York. But that's one of my goals, and maybe I'm just going to look around, maybe not necessarily buy a house. How about you? What are your New Year's resolutions? I'm really worried that my colors are off, but due to my monitor settings, they look okay to me, but bad to others. Is there any inexpensive way to avoid this? Anything inexpensive would just mean new. So it can be inexpensive, but it's a new technology monitor. If you have a monitor that's 4 years old, you're not going to get good colors at all. You need a monitor that is at least 2 years old, 1 year old, because they're starting to update. They're selling more for less, more quality for less because of competitors. You can buy a laptop now for $200, whereas when I was 18, laptops for $1,800. So just, buy something new, save up. It's Christmas season. Maybe you can ask your parents to get you a new monitor. Anything that is just new that competes with tablet screens is excellent color. I have to take these supplements. Get on it. You got to take them. You're going to change your life. It's going to be awesome. Go Istebrak. I'm going to shade radially. Awesome. That's a wonderful, just think like that, guys. Go for those smaller, but very specific and very strategically chosen goals, because they will help your work on a general level. So in order to improve with your radial shading, do some more organic form studies. Do one a week, Hamish, for a month, and you'll notice the way you paint faces is absolutely wonderful. So all these pieces we looked at today are all examples of what a masterpiece can provide for you. It's fun, it's good to find your mistakes, and it's good to get jobs and have your masterpieces out there, but at the same time, You want to focus your studies, focus on your studies after you've done your masterpieces. Thank you so much, Istebrak, for all that you do for this community. I want to do another 14-day challenge to start perform studies and maybe enter some of the challenges. Awesome! Some of the challenges that are going to be coming up, which is one I delayed, is a fight scene. So it's like a showdown or stare down fight scene, Dutch angle, all of that. It's going to be very active. So that's one of the challenges that we have. Another challenge would be another environment challenge or a beast in its habitat challenge. So it's kind of like conversation with a dragon, but not necessarily. And I think that's all I've come up with. Some more character design challenges, definitely. So we did the villain. We haven't done the hero. Have we done the hero? But I might do the just a very specific character, or I might run some more polls for you guys to choose for character design. It's just going to be a lot of fun this year for challenges. I'm happy you've chosen to be a part of them. Hopefully they're not too challenging. To get healthier and to get better at digital art. So as I always say, working out is an excellent way to change the way you paint. It starts with your body, it starts with your mind and the way and your attitude towards discipline. So if you work out and you're part of some kind of active like some kind of activity that requires you to get up in the morning and do this, and you can't say no, and it's dedication and it's long term, art is going to benefit from that, because you're not necessarily doing studies, but you are fixing yourself from the inside out, discipline and laziness wise, which goes right back into your art. You'll find yourself painting for longer periods, drawing for longer periods. You'll find yourself more patient, and you'll prioritize waking up in the morning, and if you have to, eating better, which all helps your mind. So you're just going to be a better version of yourself. I can't imagine how I'd be like right now today talking to you guys. I may have had a lot of injuries. I may have a lot of illnesses, but if not for my workouts, daily workouts, I don't know where I'd be. I don't think I'd have kept, I don't think I would have developed the discipline to just show up every session or run sessions at all. So I'm a very different person because I work out, and that was one of my New Year's resolutions like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So please try to think about working out and doing something other than art that will benefit and improve your discipline. Can we do the fight scene for February so we lonely people can get our minds off Valentine's Day? Sure. I have followed Istebrak's channel for a while, but only have been consistent the past months. I can't thank her enough for all the work and effort she puts in this. You're very welcome. It's not just about, giving. I'm very selfish. I love to teach. So don't assume it's all like some sort of altruistic goddess of charity. I'm not. I love to teach. If I wasn't, teaching at a university, I found myself teaching here. So I love doing this, and it's not work at all. It doesn't require that much effort. I love doing this. Thank you, Istebrak and Abu Dhar Ali and the Mod Squad. Yes, thank you, Mod Squad. Where is Tommy today? Is Tommy here today? Thank you, Izam. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you to everyone who mods for me. Thank you, Linny. So let me see some more questions. Sketch and be more productive. That's good. That's good. Sketch more. Sketching is a great way to get out your, creative juices without the pressure of kind of like rendering. So when you render, you don't want creative pressure. When you want to be creative, you don't want rendering pressure. Remember that. Write that back to me. So never run those at the same time unless you're ready for a masterpiece. Creative pressure and render pressure are a masterpiece. Study pressure should not be confused with creative pressure. And you should not be attempting to render when you're trying to be creative. This is what I do. And it's called fragmenting your learning process. My book is going to be riddled with that stuff. I'm going to be explaining all of that. But yeah, remember that, you guys. Good job. Be more creative. Sketch more. Explore your inner writer. My main goal in art is to draw more boys and full illustrations. Yeah, because we all draw girls, right? Out of drawing goals, I really want to be invited into the Artist Alley of Brazil's Comic-Con next year. Awesome. Great. That's massive. You're very welcome, Arena. So I'm going to let you guys go. Happy Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. I love you guys very much. Thank you for being a part of my last year. We've changed so much, and I hope you guys are sticking around for the coming year. For those who are interested in sticking around for a long time to join the community, just go to the Google Plus icon here on my website and join. If you want to be a member of Patreon, my Patreon is open for supporters right now, and even the $1 tier can help us reach our 1,000 goal. So it's just $1, and it'll kind of add up, and it'll ensure the success and survival of the community. It'll open up my time, even just the $1. But if you are interested in the educational factor of my Patreon, there are other tiers as well to help you. Thank you, Abu, for generating these awesome gifts for me. I really wanted them to stay cube-based, and you know, I mean, I love the cube. And you know, just the form studies and all of that, it really represents my teaching style and my teaching model. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. Have a great holidays, you guys. I will see you after the holidays. Bye, everyone.